What's up, guys? I'm Johnny Pagnini, and today I'm going to take you through the step-by-step process of how you can wholesale properties. This is the exact process that I used to get my first deal. I'm hoping that by outlining it, you can copy it, and it will help you get your first deal. So during this training, I'm going to be talking about calculating ARV, be talking about following scripts, seller objections, and those types of things. Second link in the description below is going to get you to my investors toolbox. When you go there, you're going to get access to all kinds of fun goodies, and you can have access to those scripts and those calculators. The first link in the description below is going to get you to my private Facebook page where we're sharing tips and tricks, and there's a bunch of other investors in there sharing what's working for them. I'd love to see you in there as well. So first link in the description below. Lastly, I'm going to shamelessly ask for, if you feel I'm providing any value doing this training, a like and a subscribe would be awesome. But kind of more importantly, if you have any questions, and you should have questions, there's no way all of this should make sense to you if you're new. But if you have any questions, put them in the comment section, and I will answer every single one of them, or for sure do my best to do that. But I would love for you to be asking questions. Let me do what I can to help you get your first deal. So I'm going to share a little bit as quickly as possible just about me and why I'm doing this. I'll go through this as quick as possible. If you want to skip through it, go right ahead. But what you should know is that I got into this business in 2017. And when I did, it was a really weird time. I was going through, I just lost my house. I had just lost my business. I was about $150,000 in debt. And so as a father of two and a husband, this is not a great thing. My family was looking for me to provide for them, and I couldn't do it. And it was a really, really lousy time. So during that time, what I started doing was basically, because I had lost my business, I was doing whatever I could to provide for my family. I took a job as an on-call firefighter with the U.S. Forest Service, digging, fire line in the mountains on, wildfires. And I was sweeping floors on construction sites. I went out and I bought a camera. I was taking pictures and of people, doing whatever I could to bring income. I was doing a little bit of business and brand consulting for people. Those are hard jobs to get, but I was doing some of that website design, stuff like that. My point is I was doing everything I possibly could to bring income in because at the time what was happening was, like in November of 17, we had no money for food. And so it was Thanksgiving, and what my wife and I were doing is, I'm laughing about it now, but I wasn't laughing then. Basically, Channel 7 was doing this contest where at 5 a.m. every morning, they would do this thing from 5 to 6 a.m. during that news hour because they were trying to get people to watch. They would have like this little cartoon turkey going, would bounce across the screen. And if you were caller number 7, you would win a family, like a meal, $500 for dinner, for a Thanksgiving dinner for a family of 4. And so me and my wife, we'd get up every morning at 4:40. We'd go and we'd sit on the couch, we'd make some coffee, and we'd wait for that stupid turkey to go bouncing across the screen and then dial our butts off trying to be caller number 7 to win that dinner. We didn't win, which totally sucks. But the reason I'm sharing this with you and the reason I'm doing this training is because real estate was one of the things that brought me out of that season. And this is why I so passionately love to teach people how to win. Even in my mortgage business, or when I was doing mortgage, it was the same thing. Like, I want other people to win, and I want that for you too as well. And so what ended up happening was I finally ended up working myself into a little bit better of a position. I was starting to make some money, and I listened to an interview. Ed Milet was interviewing Manny Koshman, who's an Iranian immigrant, came to the United States with no money at like 14. Listened to this interview like 1,000 times because it's so stinking inspiring. And he was talking about how he basically built this real estate empire. And I thought to myself, why in the world am I not in real estate? Everybody in this space makes money. I think even on that podcast, I think Manny said like, the most wealth is created in real estate. And I'm like, why am I not creating most wealth? I'm over here picking up trash and, cutting boxes and throwing them in dumpsters. Like, should probably take my time, and I should probably learn real estate. And so what I did was I decided to get into real estate, and through a series of a couple different things, I actually ended up in mortgage, and I got offered a job by a Christian brother of mine. I went to work for him. And over the period of 3 years, I went from a loan originator who couldn't do anything to the vice president of the company. I was able to build a team of about 35 loan officers, taught all of them the business. 5 of them ended up becoming top producing loan officers in the country. I was also a top producing LO in the country. I'm really stinking proud of those, obviously. And during that time, I was just crushing it, right? So doing a lot of deals, making a lot of money. I was able to pay off a bunch of, all of my debt and get kind of back on my feet. And I was stacking money, and I'm like, okay, well, now I have some money. I need to figure out what to do with this money. I want to try to figure out how to double it in the real estate space. And so I ended up joining pacemorby's sub 2 mentorship, his community, and started learning about real estate investing and all those things. And what ended up happening was I bought it. It was like $8,500, $8,800, well worth the money. I got a gazillion dollars worth of knowledge, worth every penny. Then I went out and I hired a VA, $1,700 a month, got a bunch of software, bought a bunch of leads. And, I was trying to get into the business. I was door knocking, on the weekends. I was hanging Post-it notes on doors and on cars and on garage doors. I put Post-it notes wherever I could. Okay. Just trying to get somebody to call me back. And 6 months later, I was basically I lost $20,000 just trying to get into the business. And I had to clear the noise. I had to say well, what am I not doing that other people are doing? I see people winning. I see people making money. Why am I not making money? How do I get to the place where I can start making money into this business? So I just cleared the table and I said, what is the only revenue driving activity that matters? So when I was in mortgage, it was you have to give somebody a quote on their mortgage. And if you don't do that, there's no reason to even talk to them, right? You got to give them something to buy. Grant Cardone always says, give them something to buy. And I thought, well, in this business, the something to buy is an offer. I need to give offers. How many offers can I give every single day? And I thought, okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on market properties, and I'm going to try to write as many offers as I possibly can every single day. And I just made that my mission. It took me 3 days of dialing on market properties for someone to finally come back to me and say, my seller is interested in your offer. And it took me another 3 days to put that property under contract. And I thought to myself, boom, I got it. I cracked the code. Okay, now I know what to do, because I got that one under contract, and then I started putting more and more deals under contract. I'm like, this is what needs to happen. I finally cracked the code. And so, I started doing the math. I'm like, well, if I can just do one of these a week, and if I can average $5,000 to $10,000, even if I just made $5,000 a week, that's 20 grand a month. I'm like, that works for me. I can do that from my home. I'm at home now. It's summer break. My kids are running around. I see them all day long. It's my wife's running around. I don't have to go to a 9 to 5. I don't have to answer to a boss. I don't have to request time off. I'm like, I can do this business with a laptop and a cell phone. This is where I need to be. So once I started operating inside of a system, started winning. So my goal today is to share that blueprint with you, and so you can follow that and hopefully get some deals as well. This is probably going to be a little bit longer of a video. I always try to make these as short as possible, but this is going to be a little bit longer of a one, because when you want to make that kind of money, there's just a lot that goes into it. It's not a hard business, actually a really easy business. It's easy to do the things that will create revenue, but it's also easy to not do those. So first thing is learning the process of how it actually works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into some slides. I made some slides because I need to stay on track and make sure I give you all the value that I possibly can. While I do that, you don't forget to subscribe to my channel, show me some support, and don't forget, as I go through these slides, any questions, throw those in the comments. All right, guys, let's get into it. So we're going to be talking about how to wholesale a house step by step. Okay, first thing I just want to tell you, there's going to be some dad jokes coming up. I'm a dad, I can't help myself. Okay, I got Charlie Murphy on this one. Figured that'd be a great intro to the video. The very first thing that you're going to want to make sure you do when you're getting into this space is really get your mindset right, okay? In order to do that, you need to declare victory. You need to declare that you're going to win in this space, okay? Because the man who's standing at the top of the mountain, he didn't fall there, okay? You're not going to accidentally win, okay? It's going to take some time. You're going to have to climb some mountains. There are going to be some obstacles, but you need to make the decision that you're in it to win it, and you need to declare that, okay? And so that's going to be a really big sticking point, because if you don't say, I'm going to win in this space over time, right? So we're not in this business as a short-term get-rich quick. You are a real estate investor. You will be real estate investing for the rest of your life. And if you do it right, by the time you're ready to retire, you should have several, you should have properties. Okay, so look at it that way. Just say, from today forward, this is what I'm gonna do. You're gonna do that at your own speed, but make sure that you declare it. Okay, I've decided to win. Now, the other thing that you need to do is make sure that you are calling yourself an investor. So maybe you're a nurse, or you're a teacher, or you're a firefighter, or law enforcement, or whatever. You still need to say, I am a real estate investor. You need to tell yourself that, because you can suffer from identity. What is it? It's like we have a problem, admitting like, hey, this is what I actually do. It feels a little bit fake, because maybe you're not actually investing in real estate, but you're trying to. The thing is, you need to start today calling yourself a real investor, because you are in the process of becoming a real estate investor by being a wholesaler. By wholesaling properties, it's the gateway into all of real estate investing, because you learn the fundamentals as a wholesaler. You could potentially become a wholesaler, get your first property under contract, and keep it if you wanted to. Okay, real estate wholesaling is really what I call a gateway into all of real estate investing. Okay, but you need to start by calling yourself a real estate investor. I promise you, if you don't say I'm a real estate investor, if you don't start saying that stuff to yourself, you will never be a real estate investor. It's not going to happen. Can't accidentally happen. Okay, you're also going to need to start changing your behavior patterns. Okay, and that means that being congruent with who you're trying to become. So if you're wanting to become a successful real estate investor with a real estate portfolio who is wholesaling deals and making significant income, your actions need to be congruent with that. Okay, so what does that look like? What does a successful real estate investor look like? Where do they spend their time? Who are they spending their time with? What are the things? What type of things are they saying to themselves? Are they spending their free time at the bar? Or are they spending their free time at the gym? Or are they spending their free time reading books and bringing their knowledge to a new level? Really need to think about that. Okay, your behavior patterns are going to determine where you are in 6 months. The other thing is positive self-talk. Now, I struggle with this big time, okay, because especially when I was going through a really tough season, couldn't buy Christmas gifts for my wife. It was really difficult time. But, it wasn't easy to say nice things to myself. And what I'd say is, had I known what I know now, I probably would have been much more kind to myself. I would have treated myself as my own best friend, right? You may not have anybody in your corner supporting you or cheering you on, so you need to be your biggest cheerleader. I'll tell you that right now, I believe in you and I want you to win, and you can borrow my belief. But day in and day out, when things get hard, you need to remind yourself that you've made the decision to win, you're in it to win it, and that you're going to, you're going to encourage yourself at all costs, okay? Talk nice to yourself is really important. The other thing is reading books, okay? So understanding how to solve problems is going to help you win. And what I like to do is I like to think about every person walking around inside of a big box, okay? And you're walking around inside this big glass box, and in this box is all of the solutions it's all of the ways that you know how to solve problems. Every solution that you have is inside of this box. And so what happens is, as you start becoming this other person, growing in all areas of your life, becoming a more successful person, your problems are going to change. Okay, you're going to have different types of problems. And if the only way you know how to solve them is by going inside this box, because everything you know is inside this box, you're not going to be able to solve these more difficult problems, because you're just not going to have the skill set. And this is where books come in, because when you're reading these books, you're learning from other people's mistakes, other people's problems. You're getting solutions for future problems. So don't wait until you have the problem. Start putting those resources in your head now, and make a bigger box, a bigger solution box. So when the problems show up, you know how to fix them. Okay, I was telling you a little bit earlier about really 2015 to 2017, a really difficult time. And basically 2015, 2016, 2017, these are $60,000 a years for me. And if you live in Southern California, you realize that that's no money. You cannot provide for a family with that type of income. And in 2019, I made $650,000. So what is the difference between those income? The only difference is the knowledge and the skill sets that I had. I just literally just started reading everything I possibly could. I think I read like 60 books or something. In 1 year, I just learned a bunch of stuff, and then I started gaining skill sets, things that would allow me to create more revenue and bring more money in. I became more valuable to the marketplace. So reading books is going to be really, really important, not just for now, but forever and ever. Amen. There's 2 books I want to recommend. Darren Hardy's Compound Effect, which talks about these micro habits and how they compound over time to help you change the trajectory of your life. Book literally changed my life, and I'm sure it will have a significantly amazing impact on yours as well. Darren Hardy's Compound Effect. The second one is going to be Jim Rohn's The Power of Ambition. This is a really long book. I would recommend only getting it on audiobook first, because Jim Rohn has a way of speaking. He's got this like tone in his voice, and if you've heard any of his videos, you know what I'm talking about. But if I had one book, one self-help or self-development book to read for the rest of my life, this would be the one. Okay, so Jim Rohn's The Power of Ambition. The next thing that I'm going to recommend that you do is write down, why you're doing this. Okay, so you're going to struggle. You're going to have some days that suck, and they're not going to be amazing, and you're going to be like, I don't feel like doing anything today. Guilty. I have those days now, but everybody has those, okay? But what I do is I always, when I get into that space, I do a couple things. Actually, I try to get in gratitude, because it's hard to be in a depressed state or in a I don't feel like doing it state when you're in a place of gratitude. And so I try to get to a place of gratitude, so it improves my mood. But the other thing is that I reflect on why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. And for you, that might be, hey, I want to get into this space because I want to make, let's say, an extra $50,000 a year. That's great. I want to make extra $50,000. Fantastic. But the question is what do you want to do with that money, right? Why do you want to make that money? Well, I want to be able to take my family on a vacation to Hawaii every year, or to the Bahamas, or to, some getaway, whatever that looks like for you. Or, maybe I put this here, I can't keep calm because my parents are still working. A lot of people, they want to be able to help their parents because maybe they're, in their elder years and they're on a fixed income and they need financial help. So you want to have those whys in front of you, because when things get difficult, you need to be able to see them, because it's going to give you that push, right? When your why is strong enough, you'll push through anything. For me, I've got Post-its taped on the bottom of my computer monitors. They keep me in high leverage activity because I am goal oriented, because I have a very big why. 2 little girls and a wife who I love very much. So, again, I would recommend not making it 100% about just money. Make it deeper, go deeper in terms of your why. So that way you can always pull that encouragement out of yourself, okay? The next thing you want to do is you want to start making some goals, okay? So SMART goals, it's got to be specific. So SMART, it's an acronym. The S is specific. That's going to be, what is it? I'm going to lock up my first deal. The M is measurable. So how many am I going to do? You're going to do 1. Achievable, needs to be realistic. Can't do 1,000 in the first 2 days is not realistic. Relevant, self-explanatory. It's got to be something you're working towards that's in that space. Time bound, so we're going to do it in 30 days. You can do it in 60 days, 90 days, whatever that looks like for you. I've got this old lady here. I don't know if this is from Monsters, Inc. This lady I'm always watching. But the reason I put that there is because Grant Cardone always says, keep your eyes on your goals, always be repeating them. I think in 10X, he talks about writing down your goals every morning when you get up in the morning and right before you go to bed. So you're constantly putting those goals out in front of you and marching towards them. Okay, so now kind of into the nuts and bolts of actually, what you came here for. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is choose your market, okay? And so what I always say is, start in your backyard, okay? You need to be driving distance from where you're prospecting, maybe, an hour or 2 hours the most. The closer the better, though, because you're going to be calling real estate agents and people selling their property, and you want to be able to talk about certain landmarks. So you might want to say like, oh yeah, no, I'm right over here by, Main Street and 5th Street, by the Taco Bell over there, and create that rapport. They know you're in your backyard. It's going to make it easier for you to talk about the property. You're going to have more familiarity with the actual market is just going to make it easier. So I always tell everybody, start in your backyard, and then you can move to other areas and you can start going virtual. And when I say virtual, that would mean like I'm in Southern California, but I do deals on the East Coast, right? So this is virtual wholesaling. I'm working in markets that I'm not in. So first thing you do is going to choose your market. Okay, and then we're going to talk about whether or not you're going to be, on market or off market, okay? And what I teach everybody to do is, well, first, let's just talk about that. Off market is going to be basically all distressed situations, okay? I mean, there's some that don't fit in that box, but when you're talking to distressed sellers, they look like the guy there on the left, okay? He's pissed off. He don't want to be talking to you. These are hard calls to make. They don't want to be talking to you. These people are probably not only behind on their mortgage, but they're probably behind on credit cards. They're not making their car payment. Their phone's ringing off the hook. These aren't fun calls to make, okay? On market is going to be anything that's on the MLS, and these are people who actually want to sell the property. You're talking to agents, okay? They want to sell the property. So we've got our guy from the Wolf of Wall Street on there, right? See how this guy wants to be talking to you, and the other guy doesn't. So what I'm going to be talking about now is specifically on market. This is exactly what I teach because this is the low-hanging fruit and the easiest way to get into real estate, okay? Then you're going to practice scripts, okay? So Coach Michael Burt always says that, we want Navy SEALs, not baby SEALs. And when you're talking about getting on the phone with somebody and, talking about some sort of business opportunity, you need to be really good at flowing through the scripts, okay? You need to know how the conversation flows. You need to be a Navy SEAL. A Navy SEAL, what do they do when they're getting ready for an operation? They go and they train and they train and they train and they train and they train. Okay, they're not baby SEAls. They're not just showing up and wondering what the heck's going on. Okay, so you definitely need to get familiar with some scripts. There's a link in the description of this video. You can download my scripts. I talked about that earlier. But the point is that you want to print the scripts. And you want to practice them before you get on the call with somebody. But you don't want to go into a conversation with a loaded gun and not know what you're doing. Okay, so become a Navy SEAL when we're talking about script practice. The next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find cash buyers in your market. Okay, so there's a couple ways to do this. You can go on PropWire, you can go on PropStream, you can go on Privy, and you can find people who have flipped properties in the area and pull a list. You can go on different Facebook groups and you can reach out to buyers and say, hey, do you want to get on a call so you can tell me about your buy box? I don't recommend that. I think if you reach out to somebody, you want to have a conversation with them. It can't be like, I've never done this business before, but I want to know what kind of properties you want to buy. I've never made one call in my entire life. Like, you don't want to do that. You're just going to piss off the buyer, okay? What you can do is go in these groups and you can find people who've posted their buy box. Like, this is my buy box. I talk exactly about what it is that I'm looking for. I'm looking for seller finance deals. I'm looking for subject to deals. And then I have numbers around that. And if you need clarification, you can ask in the comments, right? But there are a lot of people in these groups that will post their buy box. And this is going to help you at least get started, okay? So finding people or finding buyers buy boxes and then just prospecting around those guidelines are going to be the easiest way to get started, at least in my opinion, okay? Then you're going to get prospecting software. Now, there's a bunch of prospecting software. If you are just on a really tight budget, you can use Zillow to prospect. You're prospecting on market. Zillow works. It's completely free. There are a couple other softwares. This is just some of them. There's PropWire. A lot of people use PropStream. I don't necessarily love PropStream, especially for like a new person, because it's super cumbersome. You go in there and you can get so much information that for me it's a little bit overwhelming. It doesn't mean it's not a very good tool. It just means I think for a new person it might be a little bit too much. Do a couple deals, learn what's happening, and then maybe you want to use that. PropWire is also really awesome. I love PropWire for finding out details about properties. I do have access to some other tools, different title stuff where I can find things like APN and mortgage history and stuff like that. And I find that PropWire has a lot of that information and is really easily accessible. And it's easy to see and find. Now, when we're talking about actually prospecting for leads and finding on-market deals that are already below market value, I think Privy is the best. I don't think that there is a better software. It does cost money. That's the downside. PropStream also costs money. But here's what I say. If you have the budget, if you have it in the budget, it's $100 a month. It's definitely worth it. It's going to narrow down your property search, and it's going to save you much time. So it's going to be worth the money. Plus, you can use it to find buyers, right? So not only can you find on-market listings that are at a discount, and use that to create a list to call on, you can also find buyers. So I love using Privy for prospecting on market. I am an affiliate. Links in the description. You can choose to use it or not. If you did, it would be awesome. I think I make like $20. It would basically buy me lunch or something. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start cold calling every day, or start calling on on market deals every single day. Okay, and here's what you're trying to do. The first thing, you're trying to learn about the listing. So when you call the agents, you want to know, hey, what are the 4 pillars? You want to try to get the 4 pillars. Tell me about the condition. What's the motivation? You're doing all these things, and you're creating rapport in the process. You definitely want to understand what's happening with that particular property. But you're also doing several other things, because you are going to make an offer on that property. But you also, on that call, you want to position yourself as their go-to investor. And here's what I mean. When I'm talking to an agent, I'll ask them about the property that's on market, and we'll kind of go through it, and I want to know what's happening. Has it been on market for a long time, or whatever? I'm having this conversation. But I'm also going to ask about other opportunities. So I'm going to say, well, outside of this property, do you have, are there any agents that, are there any agents inside your brokerage that maybe have properties that have been on the market for like 90+ days? Like, maybe we should write some offers on that. Would you be willing to write an offer on on those properties for me? See what they say. Do you have any upcoming off-market deals? Any upcoming off-market listings that are maybe cash-only deals? Maybe I'd be a player on those. Maybe we can write an offer on those, on those today. What does that look like? So I'm really trying to make friends with this agent and let them know what it is that I do. I'm an investor. I need to buy properties that I can I can do some value add, so I can come in, I can fix them up, and I can either sell them on the market, or I can put a renter in there. Like, this is what I do. Do you have anything that might fit that, so we can both win together? And you'll notice what I put in there is you're not negotiating price on this call. Okay, this is not, you shouldn't be getting, as a brand new person, you shouldn't be getting on a call and start asking about price. Well, you got listed for 200. Do you think the seller would take 100? Like, I'm not doing any of that noise, okay? I'm getting all this information. I'm just like data collecting. I'm like a detective. I'm finding out what this agent's all about, letting them know who I am. And then I let them know, hey, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump off this call. I'm going to see where I would need to be. And then I'm going to send you like a letter of intent that's going to outline the terms that a potential offering can be drawn up using. Okay, I'm going to give you where I would need to be on this particular property. Okay, remember, I don't really necessarily care what the asking price is. The only thing I actually care about is the number that works for me. And so that brings me to my next slide. Once we get off of that call with that agent, that's when we're going to start underwriting the deal. And you'll notice it says what number works for us, because that's all we really care about. Okay, and I don't mean that like we don't care about the seller. I don't care about that. What I'm saying is it doesn't matter really what the seller wants. I mean, we do need to solve their problem. We do need to, the number needs to work for them. But we're in the business of making money and not losing money. So we need to figure out where our numbers are so we can do that, okay? And when you're having a conversation with the agent, you need to position it that way. Like, hey, this is where I would need to be. This might not be the best offer for your clients, but it might be a really great type of solution for somebody else, okay? And that's how you create a relationship with the agent versus trying to ram subject to down their throat, or some sort of seller finance that maybe their seller is not interested. Now, don't get me wrong, you are going to talk to some agents that are no fun. They're not fun to talk to, but you're probably also going to meet a lot of really amazing agents. I met so many awesome agents. So my point is that just creating that relationship, letting them know like how you can provide the solution, that's where you're going to start getting referrals and some of that other stuff. So what I'm always doing, and just kind of circling back, I guess, to the cold calling every day. When I'm on the call with the agent, I'm asking them very directly, is your seller open to any type of creative finance? And I just want to hear what they have to say to that. And 99% of the time, it's no, they're not open to that. So my reply always to no is, well, why not? And I want to hear what they have to say. Well, we got a bunch of offers. They said they're not interested in it. Or they might say, well, I don't know, what is it? That's most of the time what I get. Well, I don't know, what is it? Right? And so I say, oh, well, it's just, basically a creative way to help them get more money. And it works for me too, because I can get in a little bit at a little bit less expensive of maybe a loan cost. Here's what I'll do. Now that I know that they might be open to it, I'll go offline. I'll put some numbers on paper and I'll send it to you so you can read it and review it. And maybe you can just forward it on to them and see if it's something that they're interested in. So when I'm underwriting the deal, I am looking at a couple of different things. First thing, I'm always writing a cash offer. Sure, subject to is awesome. Seller finance is awesome, but people are still buying cash deals. And if you can buy a property deep enough today, you can still do cash deals. So I'm always writing a cash offer. I'm always writing a subject to offer if I can, and or a seller finance. Now, sometimes I can't because, there's just a hard no. But if I can find some numbers using PropWire, I can go in there and I can find out where the estimated mortgage balance is and the current rate. I can go in there and I can kind of fudge some stuff together. And I say that in the email. Hey, this is, remember I asked about doing a creative offer? This is what this would potentially look like. And then I put it out in front of them. I'm always putting something in front of them to buy. Every single day, every person that I talk to, I want to give them something to buy. And what I mean is I want to give them something to look at so we can potentially do it. I want to give them an offer, okay? Every single person. I'm not talking about setting contracts to everybody. I'm talking about just putting numbers on paper so they can review it, because those letters of intent, they start to stack up. Brings me to kind of the next thing that you're going to do. You're going to send the letter of intent with what I call my golden email, okay? And basically the letter of intent, and you can see it on the right-hand side there, it basically has a couple different options. And like this one here says, owner financing and subject to, and it's just a template, but it goes over all of the details that I want the agent to see and potentially the seller. And you'll notice that I say over here in the slide, it's not legally binding, but it looks really official. Okay, I'm not like texting the agent, oh, this is what I'm thinking. Like, bro, dude, come on. Like you got to be like a little bit more professional than that, okay? Send a letter of intent. It's not legally binding, but it looks like you are somebody that they might want to do business with. The letter of intent just outlines the terms of our offers, and it helps eliminate confusion and miscommunication. This is what I'm trying to do. If I'm on the phone with an agent and I'm like, look, I want to buy your seller's property. I want to take over the mortgage. I'm going to set up an escrow account. This is how we're going to hold title. This is what we're going to do with a servicing thing. The agent's like, what are you talking about? I have no idea. All of that stuff needs to be in an email. It'll be very easy for them to read, and then they can just send it on to their client. It eliminates a lot of confusion and a lot of miscommunication. From there, you're basically just going to follow up relentlessly. And you'll notice I got this really annoying guy. You're going to be the squeaky wheel. You're going to be the annoying little guy with the microphone driving him crazy, okay? And you're going to ask, does your seller have any feedback on the letter of intent that we sent? Then what you're going to do is you're going to set up time to answer, you can set up time to get on a call and answer any questions. And this is the agent. You see how he's celebrating? He's like, yes, finally, I'm going to sell this property that has been on the market for 120 days. I'm going to get paid, and my seller is going to be stoked, okay? So you're going to get on a call, and you're going to answer questions, okay? And a lot of people, they get really nervous. They're like, well, I outlined subject to, and I did like the seller finance deal, and hopefully I can just communicate over, text, so I don't have to get on another call. And sometimes texting with an agent is kind of important if they're asking questions that you can't answer, because you can then look up the answer and then go back. But getting on the phone with somebody and doing business is the best way to do business, okay? You got to get on the phone and you got to have those conversations. You can't just like kind of do sub to. I had a guy one time bring me a deal he wanted to JV. He like pitched subject to, but didn't explain any of it to the agent. So then I got on the phone with the agent, and the agent was like, what the heck are you talking about? And so my point was, and this guy thought this was like a slam dunk deal. I'm like, bro, you haven't even talked to them about what you're actually trying to do. You can't do that. You can't accidentally buy a house subject to or seller finance without going over all the details, which means you got to get really good at getting on the phone and having conversations with people. Okay, so what you're going to do next is you're going to have the agent, you're going to have the conversation, you're going to clear up any questions that they have, and then you're going to have the agent draft the contract around your terms, okay? You're going to review it and sign it. You're going to make sure that you give yourself a long enough inspection contingency so you can sell the property, okay? For some people, that's 7 days. Some people, that's 10 days. Some people, that's 14 days. Some people, it's 21 days, okay? So it's really going to depend on the agent. Give yourself enough lead time so you can send somebody out, to look at the property and make sure that it's not completely falling apart. Because what happens is you're going to put down earnest money, and at some point, that earnest money, that deposit, it goes hard, which means you can't cancel, or if you do cancel, you lose that money. And so you want to give yourself a big enough window to where you can inspect the property and then go find a buyer for the property. And if you don't, you can cancel the contract and get your money back. This is not a great way to operate. What I mean is you don't want to be canceling contracts. You want to be closing on contracts, okay? You want to close them, but you do need to give yourself that gap, because what happens sometimes is you'll be talking to the agent. Actually, this literally just happened to me. You'll be talking to the agent and they'll tell you, oh, but your property's and it's in good shape. There was a fire in the kitchen, damages is not too bad. Put the property under contract, send a guy out there, some boots on the ground. They go in and they look at the property, and it's like you can't even go up the stairs because the entire house is burned down. It's a complete gut job. So that definitely changes the offer price and the price that's on the contract, okay? So you got to give yourself some time to go check it out, and give yourself some time to either renegotiate the price down or cancel without losing your earnest money deposit. And then again, once the contract has been drafted and it's been sent to the seller, you're going to follow up relentlessly with the agent. Has your seller review the offer? Has the seller review the offer? Now notice that when we call the listing agent, we're having the listing agent write the offer and send it in. That means that the listing agent is not only getting the listing side money, the money that they're going to get for listing the property, they're also going to get the buyer side. Usually that's 2.5% or 3% on each side. So when the listing agent is writing the offer for you, he's like stoked. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting 3%, I'm getting 6% of the sale price. So they're like super stoked. They're incentivized to write the offers for you, okay? So I just want to point that out because I forgot to say it earlier. And again, we just want to review, or we want to relentlessly follow up. Has your seller reviewed? Has your seller reviewed? Once the contract is signed and you're now under contract and you send it to escrow and escrow is opened, you're going to start doing some marketing, okay? You're going to make a marketing package. You're going to send somebody out to get really good pictures of the property, get some videos and all those things. And what you want to do is you want to make it really, really easy for someone to actually buy the property. You'll see on the right-hand side here, this is a marketing package that I send out. This is just part of it. It's like a page, but I make it really easy for people to buy. You'll see at the very top, Airbnb opportunity, right? Estimated cash flow, $2,700 a month, 25% cash on cash return. Notice I put end buyers only because I don't want wholesalers calling me trying to, daisy chain the deal and do their whole deal. So I make it really easy. Current value, you see, I've got the current value there. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got the current value, the mortgage balance, the PITI, the rate, the entry fee. The entry fee is how much it's going to cost for the buyer to actually acquire the property. There are closing costs. With this property, there are some arrears. They need to make that payment. So I tell them it's going to cost you $46,000 or $49,000 plus closing costs plus the assignment fee to buy this property. I wanted to make it really stinking easy for them. Because this is an Airbnb, I've also got Airbnb estimates right below that. You see that 6339, that number. I want them to be able to see where I got this number. I got this cash flow of $2,700, and the estimated income for Airbnb is at $6,300 bucks. Okay, and those numbers don't make sense, but it's because there are other factors I'm not going to get into. My point is that make it really easy for them to actually see. Okay, so I show the ARV, show the entry fee, potential revenue, show photos and videos, okay? And this is what makes a really good marketing package. It's gonna help you sell your properties much faster, because you don't wanna get stuck with a property you put under contract. It's a great deal, but you didn't market it right, so you can't sell it. That sucks, okay? And it's happened to me, and trust me, it's not fun. It really sucks. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to assign the contract to a new buyer. So this is you, right? First thing you're going to do is you're going to negotiate. So that's you in the lower corner there negotiating. And you're basically going to negotiate with different buyers and try to get the highest sale price. And one of the things that I mentioned in the slide is the highest offer isn't always the best. The one that will close will. Okay, so a couple things. If I sell a property to an end buyer and they're going to flip it or Airbnb or whatever they're going to do, and they lose money, do you think that they're going to want to do business with me in the future? Like, Johnny, last deal I bought from you, I lost a bunch of money. Like, even if it's not my fault, they're not going to be stoked on that, okay? So the highest offer is not always best, especially if someone offers higher so they can get the property under contract and then they don't close on the property or they don't send EMD or they come back and they just want to negotiate the price down anyways. So, my point is that finding somebody, a buyer that you can establish a working relationship with, several in the market, so you can, spread your deals out a little bit, is going to be really important. And again, the point is the highest offer isn't always the best. The one that will close, that's the most important. So then you're going to send the assignment contract to the buyer. They're going to sign it. Once you get it back, you're going to send that to escrow, let them know that the contract is being assigned, and you're going to let them know when the EMD is due. It's going to be on the agreement anyways. They're going to see it. But escrow will receive the earnest money from the buyer. The buyer is going to have to send a deposit on the contract. And then the next thing, and this is my favorite thing, you're going to take because now you've got the property sold and you're going to close escrow. You're going to take dump trucks full of money to the bank, okay? And once you do that, you're going to buy fancy stuff, okay? You're going to buy watches, jets, helicopters, airplanes, whatever. Here's the funny thing. Look at Grant Cardone down here. This guy's got jets and helicopters and all kinds of stuff. I heard that this guy's helicopter, they're always wearing like those headphones in the helicopters and talking on thing or whatever because it's so loud. Apparently, you don't need those in Grant Cardone's helicopters. That's how much of a baller that guy is. But this is just a joke. You're not going to spend your money on stupid stuff. What you should do, okay, and I not only say this, I do this. You're going to reinvest in yourself, okay. So you need to start buying your way into bigger rooms, okay. Joining mentorships and going to different masterminds and those types of things, because you need to start. Once you start making money, you'll have to start changing the people that are sitting at your table. And it doesn't mean you got to run away from not talk to people that are in your past. But what you need to do is you need to start bringing people who are above you, who have been there and done that. You need to start sitting at tables with them so you can learn from them. And when we're talking about going from maybe somebody who is, earning, 50 grand a year to earning 500 grand a year, your conversations are going to be different. And the people who are making $1 million a year and $5 million a year, they don't want to have conversations about fantasy football. They want to have conversations about things that excite them. And people who are making that type of income, they're talking about business and revenue driving activities because that's what gets them fired up. Maybe they like fantasy football too. I'm just making the point that you're going to have to get in these other rooms, because if you find yourself sitting around, they say you're the average of the 6 people you spend the most time with. So you need to start changing those people out, okay? And it doesn't mean you can't be friends with people, but what I would recommend doing is reinvesting in yourself so then you can go to the next level, okay? And again, at that point, you'd be expanding your knowledge box, right? You're learning from these people. How do I bring my business to the next level? So that is how you wholesale step by step. I hope this brought value. If you have questions, please put them in the description below or in the comment section below.